Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 22nd day of May, 2019. Well, we have a master number for today. 22 is the cosmic builder. So, what are we going to manifest today? We've been talking a lot about that, haven't we? If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. If it's your first time, welcome. I've been keeping track of the cards every day. We've been seeing a relationship either between the cards in a given week or from one week to the next. And we seem to be turning a corner and making a choice now to stand in our own power a little bit more and decide what it is we really want. You know, do we want to remain separate from people or do we want to be united? You know, where do we want to put our energy? So that seems to be the direction a lot of this is flowing anyhow. So let's see what happens today, though. We got a little rain today when we were on our 4-mile walk. We try to do one every day. We haven't been walking the last week or so. We did yesterday and then, of course, today. But we haven't been because it's been raining and also because we've had some last-minute things to get done in the garden, and it just takes too long. You know, if you get started in the afternoon, well, you know, half the day's wasted. So we really had to get some stuff done. We ran out of time. And so we didn't do the walks. And so now we're getting back into it again. And it's really nice. It's nice to do it, but it was really muggy. And I don't like that at all. I don't deal well with that. When we lived in the valley, in the Portland area, you know, it's just real humid over there and it's always muggy. It rains a lot. And, you know, so you have wonderful growing conditions other than maybe sometimes it being too wet, or you also get slugs and things like that we don't get here. But because we live on the high desert, so we're about 3,000 feet above sea level and everything's real dry. It's a desert basically. And lots of juniper, and we're not in the pine area. You have to go further north to Bend, about 13 miles north of us. Well, actually not north of us, south of us, but higher in elevation. And then you start to get into the pine trees and whatnot. So it does change here. It's just a really nice area, actually. But it's different. It's different to grow here. You don't have a very long growing season, and I mean, you can get things done, but sometimes you have to cover and all of that. So you have to watch the weather, and it's not that you're waiting, you know, till the end of the season for that to happen. That can happen in the middle of the summer. So you just never know here. It's a wild time when you grow things here out in the garden. So I don't know why we keep doing it. It's just, you know, it calls to us and we just do. We had a few years there where we didn't because the deer just would annihilate our garden. And so when we retired, we came home and we put up 8-foot game fencing, basically. Well, around the compound area, that's about, maybe 1.5 acres or 2 acres worth. And it has our big ponds and the house and all the garden areas and everything. But then the other part is the pasture. The other 3 acres is the pasture. And around the whole property now, we didn't do the game fencing. We did a combination fence where we added poles to the existing ones and brought it up higher to keep the deer off the property. We've always had deer here. I mean, they come and they actually had their babies here. And it was delightful, but we couldn't grow anything. They just destroyed everything. So I stopped having a garden, you know, for maybe 10 years or so. And it was horrible. And then eventually we started putting platforms in the trees and growing things in pots up high. And so I'd have tomato plants up there. I'd have green beans growing. I'd have, you know, all kinds of stuff growing up high. You know, and those little buggers, they'd rear up on their hind legs, you know, and try to grab at them. I mean, they literally will pick apples. They'll stand on their hind legs and grab for apples, because we have a lot of apple trees. And, you know, they're fun, but they're a menace, you know, they really are. So now they don't come in anymore because they can't get in. we had a couple babies, twins, get in through an area. I swear to God, they're like mice. The area was made about yay wide. It was just a little gap in the fence over by our gate. And so we had to put up some woven wire right over it because I found them. They were one was eating a lilac and the other was in my raspberries. And we're like, oh, and Mama's standing outside the fence, going, oh Lord. And so we ended up, fixing it. And so we haven't had anybody in since, but because they can just destroy things. And I don't want that anymore. So they have to go. And now they don't even really, I don't know, I think that they found a new route or something. I mean, we see them sometimes. Sometimes they're in our neighbor's field. And then further over we see them, but the bad part is that you've got people in the neighborhood here that encourage them. They think it's cool. They haven't yet figured out that when they spend money on transplants, on flowers, in other words, when they get in your yard and they eat your petunias, yeah, and they just don't nibble, they'll rip the things right out of the ground. Yeah, that's what they do. So the joys of property in the rural areas. Anyhow, let's get started on this Master Builder Day, Cosmic Builder. We'll draw these cards randomly again. I'll take the 13th card if you've not been here before. And we start out with, oh, I can't see if that's a 7 or an 8. That's an 8. I do things in the dark with candlelight. So I have a magnifying glass with an LED light on it. We have the 8 of Wands. Here we have swift action. Most of it in balance. There's one lagging behind there. Progression. 8 is about even progression. This is almost even progression, isn't it? A lot of things going on, a lot of willful behavior possibly. It can be positive, it could be negative, just depends on what's really going on. We're going to need to see some other cards, but I just want to check something here in my grimoire on this. One thing that I had written down here is attunement to the natural flow, and that's what I was looking for here. Energy of high velocity swept off your feet. This is just a lot of movement, a lot of things happening. It can mean just a lot of things you've got to get done today. It could be a lot of willful behavior from people. Maybe it's more than, maybe it doesn't have just to do with you. A lot of ideas that are or a lot of creation going on, creative thought, although thought is swords usually, but this could be the action taken from all of it. But a lot going on, but really we don't know what, do we? So let's take another card. I mean, some of you may know what it's about if you've got a lot going on in your life right now. I sort of do, although we're kind of caught up. I mean, to a point. I mean, I still have a ton of weeding to do. So we have drawn the Magician. Did I do that already? Yes, I drew that yesterday. And we ended up moving that to the first of the reading as well. And again, you're talking about the alchemical process. Again, on a day of manifestation here of the Cosmic Builder, this is a good card to draw. So again, manifestation, new beginnings, the cycle of life. You can see the lemniscate above his head, the figure 8. He's got all his tools in front of him, representing the elements. In which, and I don't know about, well, ceremonial magic and all of that. We look at the pentagram, the chalice or cup, the sword, and the wand. We refer to them as tools, magical tools that we use to direct energy or focus energy. Your wand and your athame, your sword or athame, your knife. can focus and direct energy. The cup, of course, the chalice can be used for scrying and for, water-based magics, that you can do. And the pentagram grounds you, protection. There's the lesser banishing ritual or the pentagram that you can do. That's a ceremonial magic thing that you can do. I've changed it. I did it in a couple different books. I have it, and I used basically I invoke the goddesses and the Norns and all of that, and so I do it a little bit differently. But then that one has, I've sort of modified it for my own use. But it's a really nice. You're basically creating a protection shield around you. For when you're working magic, but you can do it, just as part of your own ritual, your daily ritual. You can perform the, lesser banishing, the LBRP, lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Just simply establish a protection shield around you. Or you can take it if you're not comfortable with the concept of it. You can take it. It's Kabbalistic. If you're not comfortable with that, you can take and you can turn it into something else. That reflects, who you are a little more, maybe, if you're just not comfortable with it, but no reason not to be. So it's just personal choice. So maybe we're manifesting a lot of stuff today. Maybe we've got a lot of plans, a lot of ideas coming to fruition. We put our ideas we've manifested them into whatever we're doing, into whatever creation we have. And so I'm thinking again, the magician's likely going to be moved to the front of the reading again. In fact, why don't I do that right now? Numerologically at this point, we've got a 9 energy collectively. 8 and 1 is 9, so completion. So again, maybe something's coming to fruition. Maybe you've got a project going or something, and a lot of components to it. And maybe you're seeing movement on it today, or it's going to come to completion. Maybe. Let's do another card. Well, here we have a decision. So we have the 2 of Pentacles. A little bit of emotion involved in it. You can see the choppy water, the wavy water in the back, and the ships moving up and down on them. And he's juggling. He's standing on one foot trying to figure all this stuff out. Again, you can see the lemniscate that we found in the Magician. You can see that same sort of cyclical action. We're always in this mode, aren't we? We're always manifesting. We're always creating. As long as we're alive, we're always creating. Hopefully we do that from the standpoint of spirit. So either we can put, typically it's from ego though, isn't it? So we could have the Magician first, and then we could go to the 2, where we're manifesting, we're making a decision, and then we've got a lot of swift action. And what was that called again that I read? The attunement to the natural flow. The other thing, and I know this from the Thoth Tarot, okay? The way that they express this particular card is different, of course. It's vastly different in that deck. Very non-traditional, very, very cool, though. I really love that deck. But what it is, the idea of it is move now. So it's having to, here we have the decision in the 2, and of course with Pentacles, we're talking money, finances, home, security, foundational issues, physical matters, that kind of thing. So our mundane daily life, basically, something to do with that. So this could have this really could have a financial aspect to it. But we need to make a decision, and now's the time to do that. I'm going to draw a 4th card, though, before I draw the rune, and then I'm definitely going to do a geomancy rune here. But let's just see if we can get one more card to give us some information, maybe on where this is going, because so far we really don't. We don't really know yet. Well, now we have the Ace of Pentacles. So again, this is reinforcing our personal mundane lives, likely having to do with finances. You see the pathway and the doorway there, the archway there. That's a frequent theme in tarot. You'll see it with two pillars. You'll see it with two tall trees. I mean, it can be manifested any way, and also with archways as well. But here we have, it's like you're opening the door to new experiences, new foundation, new growth. So either that's at the end of it, all of this is portending something new in terms of our personal life, in terms of our financial security, our home. Something has to change, though. There has to be a decision. So wherever we do that, perhaps we're going to put that first. Perhaps the decision is first, the Magician second, and we're going to manifest there. And then swift action to make it happen. Move now. Make the decision now. No, I think the Magician goes first. Make the decision. Make it now. The opportunity is there now. That's what I'm getting. And it's going to result in something better, a new direction, or new, maybe a new home, new job, new income. But something that you've manifested and you've made a decision about, and now it's time to put it into play maybe. So maybe it hasn't manifested yet, but maybe it's saying the time is now, the opportunity is there now. Here we have Sowilo, the 16th rune of the Elder Futhark in 8 energy. So aligning with the 8 of Wands, isn't it? Wands is the fire element, so is the sun. You see as above, so below energy here, complete with the horizontal plane in the center, don't you? Again, actively invoke force. Move now. The decision needs to be made now. Everything is in place now. So whatever needs to happen, the time is right for it. And if you haven't been here before, I'm just going to explain again about geomancy. Geomancy is an old divination tool. It can be done in a variety of different ways. I've had both sticks that I've used. I wonder if wait a minute, maybe they're here. Yes. Okay, here would be an example where you have 1 on one side and 2 on the other. I indicate each one, there's 4 that are used if you do it this way. I ultimately did them as runes. There, you can see it better, where you have 1 dot on one side and 2 dots on the other. Now, each one is assigned to an element. So there are 4 elements, and so if you don't count spirit, then what I did was they have to go in a particular order, okay? And so what I did was on the side that has just the single dot, I went ahead and I put the glyph for each element on their respective symbols. So, and the order that they're going to go in when I throw them is they're going to go in fire, air, water, and earth. And ultimately, going to end up making a glyph that looks something, well, in this particular case, Carcer, which was, that was Tuesday. Was that Tuesday? No, that was Monday. Monday we had this one. And so you see a glyph that is a 4-level glyph, okay? You're going to have either 2 dots or 1 dot, and there's going to be 4 of them together. And then from there, what you do is, let's see if I can find it, you build what's called a shield chart. And so you're going to throw them 4 times, and the first glyph you're going to put in the first box over on the right-hand side. It goes from right to left. You're going to put it there. The next one you're going to put here, and here, and here. And then from there, you're going to take the top line of dots, and you're going to create this one. The second line of dots, you'll create the next one. The third line of dots, the next one, and the fourth line of dots, the next one. And then from there, it's broken into sections. So these two would create this one. These two would create this one, and so forth. These two would create this one, and ultimately these two create this one. And then you tell a story. You can do it in terms of house charts, astrological houses. You can do it that way. There's another shield chart or another astrological chart you can use. But that's called the shield chart, and that's typically what I use. And then I basically break them down into weeks, and I do a monthly geomancy reading. And I break them down into weeks. They just lend themselves. And then with an overall, the lower three is an overall look at things. So usually the outcome and final factors involved. But it's an interesting way of divination, of doing divination. And for this particular purpose, though, I just do one, just to kind of get an extra idea, earth energy wise, what is it we need to be looking at as well. So right now, again, we're manifesting. It's a cosmic builder day, the 22, the master number for manifestation. We're making a decision. We need that the time is right. So do it, make the decision now. You're going to see through source vision because we've got Sowilo here. That's illumination. That's catalytic. And it's going to portend something wonderful, a new direction maybe. A new level of financial security, possibly with the Ace of Pentacles. But let's do the geomancy room. See what we come up with. Okay, so for fire, I have a 2. For air, I have a 2. For water, I have a 2. And for earth, I have a 2. So we're looking at the geomantic symbol for populace. And I'll draw that out for you so you can see what it looks like. Its counterpart is Vaya. Now Vaya would be, in that case, single dots. Instead of dual dots, it'd be single dots, a row of those, a line of those. But here would be populace. Okay? Now populace is a passive influence. All right, it's going to be reflective of the surroundings. And so it also means a group or a crowd. And so it's almost like with populace, you're going with the flow. You're going along with the crowd. You're going along with the energy. You're going along with that energetic movement. You're not making your own direction like you do in Vaya. Vaya is an active principle. Again, populace is a passive principle. And so basically with Vaya, you're making your own direction, you're charting your own path, and populace, you're following along. But the other thing that it's doing, if you simply look at it in terms of energy, it's getting into the flow of it, which is what the Eight of Swords is asking, or Eight of Wands is asking us to do here. And that's what I was talking about here. Eight of Wands, again, attuned to the natural flow. So when the natural flow is telling you to move now, that the time is right to make that decision and to go ahead with something, Sowilo is going to light the way. It's going to give you the illumination that you need. It's going to be the voice of spirit informing the process. So in this case, populace, it just depends on the surroundings. It's either going to be something, if you're following an evil flow, obviously, that's not going to be a good thing. But if what's going on here is really manifesting something better in your life, then what populace here, I think, is suggesting, it's reinforcing 8 here and saying, look, we need to actually pay attention to what the energy is saying and follow it. So interesting. That's really interesting. Now, on Monday, we were awareness, emotional fulfillment, balanced energy exchanged with others. And then yesterday, again, the magician. Right when Rado, we put the rune after the magician. So soul journey, process over goal, manifesting spirit in the process, creating emotional fulfillment, success. Conjunctio was the geomancy rune. So that was about joining in unity, coming together in alignment with self, basically, mind, body, spirit alignment, really, as well. And then today, again, we're manifesting and we're making a decision, and the time is right to do that. And we're going to have a lot of support with that. So we need to attune to the natural flow, don't we? And respond to it. And then manifest. Awesome. Well, this is shaping up to be quite an interesting week, isn't it? Well, very cool. All righty. Well, I think that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll chat again. Thank you so much for stopping by. Check out my blog if you want to. I think I have to do I think I'm supposed to do a moon post today. I did one yesterday about an experience at the grocery store with my debit card and their machines, their card reader machines. The whole thing just shut down on me. It's not easy to be a young man in the work world when you have nobody mentoring you and you open your mouth and you insult the customers who are just trying to get to pay for their groceries. Yeah, it was one of those moments. Anyhow, my chip's no longer working on my debit card, so you have to put it in 3 times before you can swipe. How ridiculous. Anyhow, they're going to send me a new one. So I don't have to do that anymore. But I did it, and for some reason, their system decided to shut down. And there was nothing anyone could do, and I had to re-ring myself up all over again. That was just fun. My husband's standing there going, and then we get help from boys, not people that, I mean, it's not that boys don't know computers, they do. But then it's the whole condescending, ma'am, do you know anything about computers? I looked at him, I said, well, I write and publish a blog. I have a YouTube channel. Yeah. I didn't tell him that I homeschooled my kids and that we were networked in the house and that I did that and that I got them both into computers and they're both in the tech field now, doing very, very well. So yeah, I know a little bit about computers. I can write a little bit of HTML code. Anyway, I don't know. I know a little, not a lot, a little. Anyway, not as much as my kids at all, not even close. But I do know a little bit more than probably the average person. So anyhow, but just because I've been involved in it for a long, long time. But anyway, that was what my day was like yesterday. And I wrote about it. I said, I think I called it, are the chips worth it? Or is the chip worth it? Anyhow, so that's on there if you want to read about that. And anyhow, check the blog out at imsteppingside.com. I'd love you to do that. It's a witch blog. It's just got all kinds of different things on it. And check out my Amazon storefront if you want to do that. It's over there at Amazon. There's a link to it there. There's stuff all over the place on the blog. There's actually a page that used to be the link to the original storefront called A Witch and Store on the blog. And that's just got some links to stuff that's actually from the storefront. So anyhow, if you like herbs and stuff, you just want to cut through it. You don't want to go to the other one. You can just click on those and it'll take you to Amazon and you can order stuff there. And then I make some advertising pennies on it. So anyhow, it just helps. They let bloggers do that. I publish on Amazon. So they let us do that if we have a website and it's just advertising Amazon's products though. So anyhow, but it's nice they let us do that. Helps defray blog costs. So anyhow, check that out at imsteppingaside.com. And you can follow me on Twitter, and there's a Stepping Aside Facebook page, and also I have a personal one, and so you can follow me all there if you like. Anyhow, be good to yourself, be good to one another. We'll see you tomorrow, and blessed be.